Hello, this is Pete, or Kenshin1913, along with
That
and this is another Cooking with Kenshin1913. What are we making today?
beef stew.
We're going to be making some beef stew.
Okay, for beef stew, we got beef, chopped beef, some potato, onion, carrots. Then we got spice, which is salt, ground pepper, black pepper, onion powder, cayenne, paprika, and cayenne.
Right.
Flowers, we need them for the beef. And we got olive oil.
Right.
And a beer.
And beer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop up the potatoes and the onions, and I'll show you what they look like when we're ready. Alright, so as you can see, we cut up the potatoes and we cut up the onions. So our next step is to season the meat. So right here I have one of them vegetable bags that you would get at the grocery store. You can use a Ziploc bag if you want, or even a tin container. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my flour, and I'm going to add maybe, that's about, I don't know, maybe a quarter of a cup, maybe a little more. A third of a cup. There we go. 1/3 of a cup. Alright, so in this flour, we're going to add our salt. We're going to season. We're going to season our flour with some salt, some pepper, some onion powder, so we put in onion powder. Now we're going to throw in some paprika for color and a little more heat with our cayenne. Now with a spoon or a fork, it doesn't really matter, you're gonna mix that up inside the bag. You could, like I said, you could use Ziploc or whatever. Anyways, now we're gonna open up our beef and we're gonna throw it in our meat. In our flour here. And pretty much coat it. And this is the fun part, because you can pretty much coat it and you can just throw it all in here, and then you shake it. Alright, so we got our beef in here, and now all I'm gonna do is just pretty much shake it and get flour on most of the beef here. As you can see, maybe, I don't know, we're getting everything all nice and coated. Now the thing about this is you're going to want to keep the extra flour just in case you need to add anything when we get the stew going. Okay, now we're going to get our pan nice and warm and coat it with some olive oil, or whatever oil you prefer. And as that gets warm, we're just going to throw in our beef strips here. And what we're going to do is going to cook this until it's nice and brown and we get this really nice crust on the bottom. And I'll come back and I'll show you when we're doing this. Yeah, my dad had to go somewhere, so I'm doing it solo. So yeah, I'll come back when we get the beef, and I can show you what it looks like when it's browning. All right, you see the beef here as it's getting all nice and cooked. You're getting that nice brown crust right here. right there. You see all that? You just gotta keep cooking it and let it get brown, and you'll eventually see some bits on the bottom. And that's what you want, because then you're gonna deglaze it with some beer, which you could also use beef broth if you didn't have beer. Another thing that you can do with the stew that I didn't mention with ingredients is you can also add mushrooms or peas or whatever. You can also add that, but yeah, this is really the basic recipe. Alright, as you can see, we have pretty much browned the meat pretty good. Let me show you the bottom here. See the bits here on the bottom? This is what we want. Now we're going to add our onions. We're going to let that cook for a few minutes, and then we're going to add our beer. This is where you'll add your liquid. You just want to get everything starting to cook. And I'm using a Dutch oven kind of pan. It's a cast iron thing. This is the best thing to use probably for the stew. Yeah, and you don't have to worry about cooking the meat all the way through, because honestly it's going to get cooked. The beer and the stew and then so yeah. I'll be back in a few minutes or a couple minutes once we get this all settled. Alright, so we have our onions cooking pretty good. And now I'm going to add probably 1 can, maybe 2, of beer. Use your whatever beer you want. This is going to be a deglazing agent, pretty much. And let me show you what we're going to do here. We're going to scrape the bottom with your spoon, because you want to get all those good bits. Scrape the bottom. Make sure you use a, I guess depending on what kind of pan you have, you can. I'm using wooden because I don't want to scratch the bottom. But yeah, scrape it, and just scrape all the bottom. And don't worry about like it being too liquidy, because the flour is going to soak up the liquid and all that. And yeah, so we're just gonna let this cook for just a minute here, and we're gonna, actually this is pretty good. Now we're gonna add our potatoes. As you can see, gonna stuff them in there, and then the next thing we're gonna add is our carrots. Alright, so now we're adding our carrots. About half the bag. It's a 1 pound bag, I believe. So yeah, and then here we're just gonna mix it up a little bit. Get that second can of beer open then. It looks like we're gonna need a little more liquid. So what you're gonna want to do is put some more. Now you can either add, go ahead. You can either add water here, or we're just gonna add another beer. So it's 2 cans of beer, and just season it. Just season it with a little pepper and a little salt, and that's it. Then what we're gonna do? Yes, it's okay. We got stuff. All right, that's enough. That's enough. Holy moly! And then take that pepper. That's a little salt. Just put a little salt.
Where's Uncle Pete's camera?
There's Uncle Petey's camera. We'll show Stella in just a second. All right. That's enough salt. So what you want to do is just mix it around, and then what we're gonna do is let this come to a boil. Then hit it low. Then put the temperature on low and put a cover on it. So we'll come back when we get it to bubbling. Alright, we're back. As you can see, it is boiling. It's bubbling. We're going to lower the heat. We're going to throw the cover on. And we're going to let that cook while stirring occasionally for about half hour, 45 minutes, or until the carrots and potatoes are tender. And then we'll come back and I'll show you if it's too liquidy, I can show you what to do. We saved that excess flour for a reason. Alright, we're back. And ta-da! There's the stew. This is what we got here. This is what we got here, as you can see. Look at that. Everything's pretty much fork tender. Honestly, something I didn't get a chance to make, but I would make like a fresh beer bread to go along with this, because beer bread's delicious and it really goes with the stew. Get a little butter on it. But yeah, so everything's kind of fork tender. Everything's good. So what I'm going to do is we're going to plate it up. Alright, now we're going to put it in on a plate. Get a little bit of everything. And yeah, we can pretty much shut this off too. But yeah, there we go. There's our beef stew. Yum. So yeah, here's our beef stew. I don't want to... It's liquid, so it'd be hard to show. So let's start off with the carrots. It's a little... Could have let it cook just a little longer, but... Very good. Got a lot of nice flavors to it. Now we're going to have some potato and some beef. And of course, it's very hot. Like I said, beer bread goes really good with this, especially if you're making it with beer. If you're not and you're using beef stew or beef stock, that's fine too.
Biscuits.
Mmm. Mmm.
Delicious, huh?
Hmm. There's a lot of flavor in that beef there with all the seasonings that we use. So, nice and tender. Everything tastes delicious. Something good to eat in the fall and even the winter. So yeah, just going to put this back because it's very hot. I have been Pete, or Kenshin1913 along with.
Dad.
And this has been another Cooking with Kenshin1913.
Buon appetito.
And if you want to buy a apron, go to my Etsy site. The link will be in the description below.